we couldn't say like it would 100% have been avoided because you can't always avoid those things. But I think giving your child like a space, like a safe space to be able to come to you and know that you're gonna believe them would make it a lot easier to stop these instances, or them come to you and be like, I'm uncomfortable, someone made me uncomfortable, as opposed to if you don't really have that relationship with your child, they're not going to want to come to you when things are going wrong. They're going to think, oh, I'm going to have to do this by myself.
The harsh reality of it is though, that it's a harsh reality, like I don't agree with it at all, but if it's going to happen, as parents, unfortunately, you don't have the opportunity to stop it from happening.
We've heard of the situations even when the child's gone to the parent and said, Mom, Dad, such and such is moving a bit. Ooh. Like, it doesn't get received the same way. So I don't know whether it's a case of you being involved in your child's life. It's just a case of...
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, how much are you actually willing to actually listen to your child to say, yeah, this is actually a problem. So
because no matter how involved you are in your child's life, like family, you're meant to trust family.
Exactly.
You would trust family with your child before anybody else. So people, and I know some people that, like parents that know that about their family and actively choose not to bring their child around it. But then I do know some people that know that about their family members and tend to brush it under the carpet and still have their children because they would rather brush it under the carpet than confront, their parents or say that this is what my brother or this is what.
Bear in mind also, some people aren't in a relationship to have children. They're just in a relationship for that person. So yeah, you've had a child doesn't mean nothing to them. They love the person more than they love the child. So even if the child comes and says,
this is true actually,
they're like, I don't give a damn because like it's all your fault, you dirty little stop out. So whoa!
That's true. I will ask the question to everyone then, like, them parents, right, that they know their partner is abusing their child and they still stay with them. Like, how do you view those kind of parents? Because it's a thing where like...
I think they're mad.
But they are
That's
like the arcade victims. Like they didn't want to leave because they didn't know anything else. I think it's about a security issue. It does them more injustice by staying there. Like they don't want to stay there, but
Can I ask a question though? Obviously you're a parent. Is this an active conversation you're going to have with
I have all the time. I say to my son all the time.
If someone touches them in an inappropriate way,
I tell my son all the
but then at what stage?
So it's like my son was 2. At nursery, they started it as well. Like, if someone touches your pee-pee, you say this, and I tell my son all the time, like, if anyone touches you, you come to me. And like, my son, even if no one's ever touched him, but if someone even brushes him, you're like, oh, mummy, this, and then I'll speak to the person, and it's like, oh, it's not that deep. And my son will be like, no, it's not that deep, but you still said something to me.
So when it comes to my son, I make sure I tell him, listen, no one's allowed to touch your chest, your private area, those are sacred. No one's allowed to do it. If someone does that, you come and tell mummy. Do you understand? My son understands that perfectly. Even if someone touches his arm and it's a little bit too close to the chest, he'd be like, mummy, someone did this and blah, blah, blah. And I'll talk to that person, be like, listen, don't touch my pitney. And that's it. My son is open with me, he's able to tell me, and we have that relationship. It's important for parents to have that relationship with their children.
Did your parents have conversations like that? Because I know my parents personally, even though I don't quite know when I realised, okay, cool, I shouldn't be touching this away, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But growing up, I don't know about you lot, but my parents didn't necessarily have that sort of conversation with me. No. And I was always with different family members, different friends, and thankfully enough, I was never in a compromising situation. But I do feel like it's something that our parents should have spoken to us about.
I agree with you.
Growing up in like the performing arts industry, you're left with like chaperones, and my mum always tell me like there's a rule like a kid is not allowed left alone with one adult. There's got to be 2. Like say if I want to be taken to the toilet, there's got to be 2 adults, and they mainly are female. But my mum told me from when I went to go work in America, so she made me research like paedophilia in Hollywood and all these different child stars that have been molested. And I think I was like 9, and it was so eye opening because I was wanting to be on Disney, but then I was researching the executives and so many executives from Disney have got like sexual assault or sexual misconduct charges, and they're famous people and
they still get jobs as well.
It's scary though.
It's disgusting.
I feel like family members brush sexual assault under the carpet because they're scared, and they're scared of what people knowing, maybe because they're victims themselves. I personally know people that would rather keep it in the family or keep it amongst because they don't want other people knowing what their family are like.
I think like as a parent as well, I think it's kids aren't always going to speak up, and like they're kids, they're learning themselves, they don't know what's going on. So I think as a child, like as a parent, it's important to watch how your kid is moving as well. Like if they start moving differently, and if they start like replacing themselves, and when certain people come to the house and they like make themselves that's something that you need to sit there and be like, okay, you might not want to talk about this, but there's something like what's going on.
I think in general, what helped me, my mom always made sure like any type of touching, if I feel uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? Like you just need to know. It doesn't matter if it's a random person, a person I like, a family member. Like she made that clear from the get-go. Like when it comes to the topic like sex and stuff like that, I called it cuddling back then. But I knew that I would have to do it with someone that I like and I really feel comfortable with. So anytime, I've never been in like a situation in my childhood, luckily, but if I would have been, I think I would have known, because she told me so much, like if you're uncomfortable, don't do it, and come and tell me immediately.
When it comes to like sex, I don't really remember how my mom broke it down. I just know we had like a book where you could visually see how sex works and how babies are made. So I already knew that visually, and she just made sure that I understood like anything sexual. I called it cuddling. So even when I would see in movies, I would call it, oh, okay, they're cuddling. She's like, yeah, just do it with people that you like. One person, obviously, one person that you really like, that you trust, that you feel comfortable with, and that you're happy with. So that's kind of like the way I was brought up when it comes to sex, and it's made me feel very safe and secure in that whole topic.
For me personally, there's many instances in my childhood where there was, not direct abuse, but and I think, I don't know if it's like there's certain levels of cultural allowances where like I've had people like uncles who would tell me to come and sit on their lap in front of the whole family and no one will bat an eyelid. They'd just be like, go and say hello, don't be rude. And it's like, but he's being inappropriate, and why can't you see this happening?
Is that just like they think, oh, family, or they being ignorantly bliss?
It's a bit of ignorance, I feel, and a bit of like, you have to respect your elders regardless of what they're doing and whatever. And I grew up in it a lot, like a lot of males in the family or uncles or whatever were inappropriate. And there was even a time where someone was really inappropriate, and my stepmom was like, oh, I know about you two. Like, instead of like addressing the issue, she was like, it's your fault.
I didn't feel that I could address it with my parents because they were present for these things. Like the uncles saying, come and sit on my lap, and like calling me their girlfriend, and like hugging me and touching me like inappropriately. So for them to see it and be there, I felt like I didn't have anyone to speak to about it because it was very much normalised.
How old was you?
I was 14. But that was a very young.
Can I just say something though?
A young 14.
Yeah. I wasn't. Can I just say something though that I realised, like in the black community or the Bay community, that happens so much. Like it burns my heart. I think I saw on Instagram there was a saying like, when like black mums tell their child like, make sure you don't wear that alone you should know. Like if you know there's an issue like you said about your family, you know from time you're telling your daughter when men's in the house, don't wear this or you don't do this.
They already know.
You already know what it is, but you still
accept
it. That's the issue. Why would you accept it?
And then they blame you. They're like, oh, it's because you were dressed like that.
Exactly.
Or why are you walking around like that? And it's like, but I'm just.
I think it's a cultural thing.
If a man isn't thinking that way of a child, they're not going to think that way. No matter what the kid's wearing, the kid could be in knickers or whatever. They're not going to sit there and think, oh, look at that. Like that's.
But that says a lot
about
the black community that you have to warn your picnic from young.
You just said something to me, which makes me think that you said if a man doesn't see a child in that way, but when you think about instances, let's talk about movies or these young guys having relations with older women, but to them it's not classed as abuse.
No, but
they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm a man. Of course it's abuse. And as we get older, we realise that it's abuse. But for someone of that age,
people don't.
And there's
like
women
are like talking about, oh yeah, I was having sex at 14.
Exactly. It's like if a man went up to a little girl and says, oh, you're going to be my wife. So you're so good looking, we'll automatically be like, grab our child away from them. But if a woman's like, oh, you're going to be my husband, you're so cute. It's almost like, okay, I don't view this as a threat.
As like as a society, need to start pushing the same thing, because in movies and everything else, it is that thing of like a young boy fancying an older girl, and it's like, it's a little love thing, it's cute, but it's like, within that, there's people watching that going, oh, so it's okay.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the problem that we have. We need to start showing like anyone trying to go for anyone younger, that's a predator. Like you are a predator. That's
but I think also the boys, as they grow up, it's like a notch on their belt. Like they don't see it as. I think more nowadays, I guess, more people see it as abuse, but a lot of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's normalised because they don't see it as abuse,
and
they don't address it.
So guys, if they lowered the age of consent to, I don't know, let's say 12.
Or like France is 14, I swear.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The age of consent isn't for older people to get with younger, like it's
for
the younger people to get with
younger.
It's not for like you just turned 18 and now 30-year-olds are onto you. Like no, that's for other 18-year-olds. This is when you should be.
But the only thing is, go on.
You get people that will prey on little girls and say like, oh, bro,
when you're 18,
you're 16 and 17, you know what? Give me a shot when you're 18. So if they say, if we say, it's 14.
Yeah.
For some people, that's
are gonna be like,
let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know, so like, would our views now change? Like, nah.
But then I will always, okay, I'm not arguing for it, playing devil's advocate, don't kill me, people, okay? Hypothetically speaking, right? If it's just based on age, let's say it is a 30-year-old and she just turned 18. If she was 30 and he was 40, no one will say nothing.
Yeah.
So then you have to think of it like...
there'll be a couple of raised eyebrows.
I
think it'll be a couple of raised eyebrows.
It's the same age for
I think, as you get older, the
that's what I'm trying to say.
It shifts somewhat what is too old.
I agree with
It's the mental maturity that has come in when you have that experience when you're 30 years old in comparison to 18. You're a teenager at that point. Only just embarked on adulthood. So I think that's why it's very, very different. Your life experiences at 18 are very different to when they're 30.
When you're 18 years old and when you're 25 years old, the way you perceive and the way you do things or see things are completely different. And that reason is all pretty much down to experience. Because you've not had that life experience, you're not able to understand what is right and what's wrong. You're not able to really express yourself properly from, I suppose, a factual way, because you just haven't learnt those things or you just don't know those things. Also, when you're younger, you're so much more prone to getting predators and to getting groomed and things like that. When you're a lot older, you can understand those signs because you've been around for a lot longer. You experience it, you read more, and you know a lot more.
It's
you know what I mean?
When Jay-Z was 18, Beyonce was something.
That's my point. And they're like 13 years apart when you think about it. She's like, he's 50 and she's still in her 30s. Yeah. So it's like,
he met her when she was 17.
And he was 30. And they're still together to this day. So it's like, can you really argue?
I feel like
it's not right, but look at their beautiful relationship. That's what I'm saying. It's really difficult. We don't really know their relationship. We don't know. It's very like,
there's still it all depends on what your view of right and wrong is.
That's true.
Can I say I feel like what it is from what I think, is when from you're like 25, it's like you're in the same type of life path with other people. Because when you're like under 25 and you're talking to a 40-year-old, that doesn't make sense at all. Once you're like 25, close to 30,
then
now we're getting to the same, level in life. Like I'm looking at the same thing. I'm trying to build my future. I'm trying to build my empire. So it makes more sense.
Do you think that is best/better for your child or young people under the age of 18 to have sex in a family home?
Do you know what? If it was my child and I knew my child had a boyfriend or girlfriend of the same, or whoever they want to choose, of the same age group as them, and they're going to, I wouldn't want them to do it. I'll speak to them about it. But if they're going to do it, I'll prefer for them to do it under my roof. Regardless of if you tell them yes or no,
they're gonna do it.
If they make up their mind, they're gonna do it.
Like we all done it.
Exactly.
But you can be aware of it, like you can have the conversation, but they don't have to do it under your roof. That's what
I personally would be down for them to.
So no, it's cool. I was just gonna say, going off that with them doing it under your own roof. So say you let your kid and their partner do it under your roof, and then say your child catches something, or your child ends up pregnant, or one of them. Would you then feel responsible?
You know what? It's just a question.
That's a good question.
Say if it was chlamydia or HIV or something like that, would you feel responsible?
I think
They would still
because I'm still doing what they're doing.
Would you feel responsible that you allowed it to happen at your house?
I feel like as a responsible parent, if you are going to allow such behaviour under your roof, you're going to actually speak to your child.
100% you'll have that conversation.
I'm sorry, but if you do get pregnant under my roof, we're going to have a different conversation because we just spoke about this.
If my child caught an STD under my roof because I have given them consent to, engage in sexual activity, I would definitely feel responsible for that. And the reason is because I have enabled that, number one, and number two, I may not have or perhaps not reiterated or taught my children enough about the dangers of STDs and things like this. So I should have put better measures in place to stop my younger child doing that. If that child is under my roof and they are, I suppose, the age of consent, 16, 17, 18, I don't think I would feel as strongly about it. So I do think also age plays a big factor in that for me as well, as to whether or not I would feel as responsible.
Okay, so you don't let them do it under your roof. You kind of tell them that you're not happy with it, and then they catch something and they feel like they don't have a safe space.
That's what
It's a
tricky one, isn't it?
So I'd rather, if you're doing it under my roof and I can have these conversations with you, at least you know that you can come to me if anything goes wrong. A safe space for my child looks like to me is somewhere that my kid like I've said before, like whatever you say, whatever you do, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think there's consequences. It doesn't matter if someone's told you, oh, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get your mum or I'm going to get your dad. Like, it's a safe space to know you can tell me anything. You can talk to me about anything. If anyone's done anything to you, if you've done something that you feel like you're going to get in trouble for, we'll deal with that situation. And then maybe I'll give you a lecture or I'll tell you off or we'll do whatever needs to be done.
If you are doing it under my roof, I don't want to hear it.
No. I don't want to know when it's happening. But then you go like that.
Condoms on the pillow.
Like, even if the door's open, I don't want to hear nothing.
But my thing is
nothing. If my daughter was to bring home someone under the age of 16, you can chill in front of your parents. I don't think I'm going to be allowing the door closed, but nothing too wild. Maybe a kiss on the cheek every now and then, but nothing too wild in front of us. You've got to be respectful, innit?
When they say under your roof, is it that the child is still living with you and
Yeah.
they're still your responsibility,
Yeah.
or is it that they have to do it in the house?
That's a good question.
Because under your roof, your child is
No, but if
coming
they
there.
don't live with you, they can do
You
it
can't
under
touch
their
them.
own.
I'm not saying live with you. I'm saying if the child is like of early teenage years and they're living under your roof. They're your responsibility.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, okay, cool. This is what they're doing.
If my child was having sex under my roof, I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to be there. But if I was, I'd have a conversation with them, and leave condoms about, put it under the pillow, just make sure they know to be wrapped up and be safe. I feel like some kids might be a bit too embarrassed to come to their parents. I know I would be, so I wouldn't want to put my kid in that situation and make him more embarrassed. Just make sure they're looked after.
I think they should do it in both houses, just to be even.
Would you?
I think in all of it, communication is key.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And I think, if you have that relationship with your child, they'd respect you enough not to do
What
that.
What age would you allow your child to be saying, Mom, this is my boyfriend, or this is my...
Like
16, yeah.
Well,
16.
do you know what? I feel like it depends on how mature my child is at that age.
Yeah.
Because if they're innocent
Also on the
16,
But no,
if you're too naive.
So what about if you don't like your child's partner?
That's
Are you gonna look, I don't like him.
No, but you know what it is?
You gotta break up.
If
I don't like her, sorry, relationship's got to be done. Sorry, dad rules.
how I grew up, and it wasn't something that was necessarily instilled in me, but I just had that respect for my parents. If I met someone, I'd bring them to come and introduce them to my parents. So I'm just like that. So they knew who they were. They
But then that's that safe space that they probably provided for you.
It's not that I had
Will
a
you
safe
see
space.
that?
It's not necessarily that. It's just I am that way. So I always, because in my head I was like, you need to know who this person is. In case something happens,
if you're just having sex with him,
if you're just
having sex with him, would you still introduce him?
No, I wasn't doing that.
But why
I
would
wasn't
you?
doing that. Do you know what it is? But do you know what it is? Yeah. When I was that age, I started having a relationship when I was like 18. So I was in that space of mind. I was like, I'm having a relationship with this person. So by the time I left home, I left home early anyway. So I left home at 18 anyway. So then it wasn't their responsibility after that. Yeah.
No, bear in mind, you get some sons that go in and out. Like, your mum, this is such and such.
Yeah.
Your mum, such and such.
Do you
your mum,
I've got way more stuff than girls do anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think we're giving guys more leeway then?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
I grew up as a girl in an only like male household, so like my dad and my two brothers, and I wasn't allowed to have a boy. Well, my dad said you can have a boyfriend when you're 16. I hit 16, you can't have a boyfriend till you're 18. I was like, cool. Like it went like that. They were bringing girls home when they were like 14, whatever. Didn't have to meet no one. Wasn't a big thing. So it's like there's definitely a difference.
It did from that period.
Not when they were younger. Like smart enough to not do that, but it's definitely like there's one rule for girls and one rule for boys.
But then can I ask you a question? So your dad said you can't have a boyfriend at 16, then you have to wait till 18. Within that time space, did you have partners?
Not properly, like it was secondary school and maybe I'll hold someone's hand.
I
was literally I'm not doing anything crazy.
Did you want to pursue that relationship? You did.
I was scared. Yeah, it was kind of a thing of like dad telling me what's the point of doing it when you're young. So it was like, yeah, what's the point of me being with someone when I'm young?
I was the same way.
It wasn't worth getting caught on
This is. I have a question though. So, if your child, I don't really care if it's boy or girl, if your child is not having relationships, right? We're just talking about friends with benefits and just experimenting, whatever the fuck they're doing, right? Would you prefer them bringing that person in and saying, this is my friend? Because
I feel like
I think I personally
I
would
still need
prefer
to know, because if I need to find you,
that's
I'm
not gonna lie, even me, I would say that because there's my friend in it, like. But it's, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was. But at least my mom knows what I'm dealing with.
Because even your parents want to know
I
who your
think that's
friends
still
are.
safer. Because then my mom is, when I'm saying I'm with Kevin, she knows who Kevin is.
But then if you're having a fuck buddy,
I don't want to meet
you. I'm gonna tell my parents.
You're not gonna tell them, but if you're bringing these people to the house,
it's like one of their other friends.
It's not even like
just know.
This is my, like, you're chilling, maybe, right? You're chilling, you're around, and I'm like, oh, I'm literally by my yard, like, call me my mom, like. Stuff like that. I prefer if my kid would actually do that. I can see who you're around, and I can still gauge what kind of person this is, because as parents, you have more of those people skills as well. You know what I'm saying? I like the idea of my children having sex under my roof more because I feel like it's more safe. I would hope if there was something that they're uncomfortable with, that they would, you know, send the person home or leave their room and come to me, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just a safe space. You're at home, you know your surroundings, and I feel like, especially when we're young or beginning of teenage years, you can feel very confined when you're in a different person's space. So if, for example, your child is at someone else's house and doing something, they'll feel like they have to do it because now they're there. But as when they're at home, it's more safe. They can say no, they can leave the room, they can send them out, stuff like that. So I think it's better if they actually do it under your roof.
Your views change if the child was under 16.
Of course, if my child's over 16 now,
I want their mum.
Personally, my son's like 18, 19. Like, if you're just out here being a fuckboy, don't bring her home. Like,
I think for me, I'm not gonna try and be a hypocrite though. Like, in the same breath, we was all doing stuff under the age of 16, innit? Like, it's all sweet. Today's society and what's exposed to them will be naive to think, oh, they're not going to do anything. Do you understand?
Okay, so question, what is acceptable for them to do under the age of 16?
Under the age of 16.
Parent. Homework.
I'm not doing it. If he or she kisses them, okay, cool. If they like it's okay. Like, what's that? No, like, I think it depends.
Bring them round and you can chill.
Everything's gonna be. Yeah, it's like it depends on what your kid is like, and you move accordingly. Compared, like, because if you have a kid that doesn't care about boys or girls, and they're just doing their own thing, you don't have to have that conversation. But if you have a kid that does want to do that, or is like a hopeless romantic or whatever, you need to move it accordingly.
Under 16, you can sit in the living room. No bedroom, no toilet breaks.
No holding hands. No hitting each other.
What about little Lena?
You can sit.
What, a pillow?
No.
It's a bit close.
Nah.
Because that's just encouraging them to just go further and a bit further. Like they think, oh, we can do it. And then next minute you've gone down to the shop, the
the road to go to the
Nah.
shop.
But let's be realistic.
You've gone to your room next minute.
But we
I'm going to my room.
let's not like we were all doing Mazzoline
And
on the
even if-
16,
and
like,
even if
come
you
on,
weren't
like,
doing
Mazzoline, you had a friend that was
doing
doing Mazzoline.
Mazzoline.
You know what I mean? Like,
It happens in
realistic.
schools as well. Like, I went to school and girls
Oh.
fingered in science.
Do you know what I mean? That was
Oh.
realistic.
I'm like,
I know we're like, oh, you don't touch hands.
I know.
Let's be
You know,
realistic.
I would want my child, I would hope and pray and discuss with my child to tell them, I hope you wait.
Yeah.
But if they're going to do something, I would
still want to be involved.
whatever they do to be consensual.
Would you
I wouldn't want it
Yeah.
to be forced into anything.
Yeah.
If they say, do you know what, I'm in love with this boy because they think they're in love when they're like 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever. He's such an idiot. Go and, as long as they do it, I may not be happy with the decision that they've made, but I just want them to be like, okay, cool, I made this decision for
So
myself.
if your child does come to you and tell you that something happened, what is your course of action? Or
Something
would you
how?
just react?
Like what?
Wait, when you say something
Like
happened,
what?
So something
Like
sexual
abuse.
has happened, sexual abuse. What
Call
do
the
you guys
police.
police straight away.
100%.
I don't think it's
I'm not even going to call the police straight away still.
Yeah, because it might.
You need to gather some evidence before you call the police. Police aren't going to do shit.
That's that's
No, but like,
I
no,
think
it's
the
important to
main
get like rape kits done and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Go and
and
put it on
you need that done
But
within
if
like,
it's
the first 24 hours.
molestation,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
difficult to like
Determined.
to determine. That's the only thing though.
But also,
I
as
don't
well,
know.
it is good to get it on record, like you were
It
saying.
is, yeah, it is good to
I think
feel
it's
like
important
that's
to
what it
make sure
is.
your kid's okay, like check on
Yeah.
them, see if you need to get them
Yeah,
therapy,
therapy.
anything like that, or even if you can't afford therapy at that time, you make sure you do
But no,
something,
you can
counselling,
get
something.
You can get free
therapy
therapy.
for-
Yeah.
You get the therapy,
And
make sure the
expose-
kids are
expose the
okay.
person,
But
expose
you,
them.
yeah, of
Or
course,
what, social
like,
media?
Everywhere.
Everything.
Put it on
Yeah.
what they call lampposts.
So you know
everywhere.
how in the US, yeah, like they actually have paedophiles known. Should the UK adults touch it?
Don't we know that?
100%.
So you can
I
search
like
it
that.
up.
You
You
can.
can
Is
search
there
it
a
up.
thing
It's
in the
not
UK
like
like
openly
that? Yeah,
declared like it is
yeah.
in America, but you can search it up.
Yeah.
There's a country, I don't know if it's Somalia, but it's one of these countries that if someone is found to be a rapist, that they'll publicly cut off their penis.
Yeah, that's
Castration.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
I
that.
say do it.
I'm not saying you should do it
I say
publicly, but I do feel like there should be
That's a
stronger
bit
measures
much,
in.
though.
No, it's
I don't
not.
think it's a bit
That's
much.
not-
Wait, listen.
I don't think it's a bit much. though.
Get rid of the penis. I get it. You rape someone, I get it. But to chop off someone's dick.
Do it.
Do it. Because
You said someone rape someone and you get it, and
That
you
is not
should
the
have
way.
because then
Yeah, you know what's mad? They don't get life. They don't
Prison
get life,
enables
though.
that. They
They
just
don't
do
get
it with
life,
each other.
though.
That's mad.
They
And then
come
you're
out,
talking
they're
about
back to it.
pedophiles talking to each other,
Mm.
bouncing ideas.
Yeah.
They're like definitely harsher measures. Harsher measures.
You know,
He's gonna keep using his money.
If people had that fear, of like, oh, this is gonna happen to me if I get.
They wouldn't do it.
But I think it was significant.
It's true. It's
Which
true.
I get the bun hair.
It
like,
seems
that's
harsh.
very harsh. Rather than that extreme.
I feel like
I
traumatizing
know
rape.
it's great, but they might as well just die there.
So what I mean, right, is like allow the person to go to prison for like minimum 25 years plus, and you know, if they're like a serial rapist or whatever not, just give them the injection, let them suffer in their heart about what they did in prison, in a cell with no one, and then give them the lecture. Why would you cut off someone's dick? What's that gonna do? They will die like that.
If you're gonna cut someone's
Guys, it's
Wait.
very interesting that we always go to the males, right? But what about the females?
Same things.
What do you mean?
Well,
I
don't know.
No,
So get rid of the team so
You know
that
how
you
they
can
get like
wait,
remove your
there
clothes
is-
and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but they
I'm thinking, yeah.
do castration.
Yeah,
Female
It's not doing
castration's a thing.
such an extreme
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They do castration. But it's one of those things where is it a proven case? Like definitely court, everything.
But
or
that's
is it-
my point.
because it's
Evidence
like if you
yeah.
introduce it, it has to be like
Legit.
one is legit.
So
That's what I'm trying to say.
basically-
People get
You've got to get caught
accused of
red-handed,
murder,
like-
and they
Yeah. Because you know, why is that people start lying? Come on now.
So I
It's
think
not
the
what's
only
it's
the
not what's
only
hard
and
about
best way
rape
to get
cases,
through
right?
that is after checking. So after you've done your rape
Yeah.
kits and it's all 100%
Yeah.
certified, then
But most
it's
women-
then that
most
is the
women
result.
will go
Not
home
just
with
because
that.
someone has
Yeah.
accused someone,
Yeah.
then they get their wages.
Yeah.
Obviously, there needs to be steps before
Yeah.
that.
That's my point.
I
Last
think there
question.
needs to be
It should be
planned
life
out.
imprisonment, then incarceration.
Guys, last question.
I don't mind.
Does
that.
anyone here take it outside the law?
Huh?
What? Like, do it
Take what
yourself.
outside?
What if
Oh,
if
you
a person
know,
was raped?
number or something like that.
Someone said something earlier that this is recorded and it stays here forever. So.
Exactly.
That's a good enough answer.
Just in case I'm taking.
Would you take it out? Would you do it yourself? Sort it out yourself? So you wouldn't call the police? You'll sort it out yourself.
A case has happened.
No, that depends on what actually happened. Because sexual abuse starts from touching my little thing to doing something with my child. Are you crazy?
No, that's what I'm asking. Would you take it out or would you take it?
I think you don't know how you're going to get until you're in that.
You touch my child.
You need to be in that situation.
That's why I don't have kids.
I'm too cross.
It's a difficult child to say. I would definitely ruin that person's life, whether it's within or out the law. Your life is over.
You won't be able to live a normal life.
You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. It's just finished. Like that's it. That's the worst.
Give it the social media.
Oh my god, I'm even feeling it now. I don't even have a child.